Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, we're starting a bit late here. Caitlin, you can see the lunch and learn slide, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Do we have I think we do have a pre-submitted question, don't we?
We do. I'm about to post
I'm
it. Right?
okay. Yeah, if you could post it. I haven't actually looked at that one yet. And you know who's this from? Can you tell me?
Leia, I just took her off of mute.
Okay. Question regarding reports and audit history. Is there a way to link an identifier, for instance, an authorization number to these reports? Not sure I understand the ask here exactly.
So essentially, we've got some reporting set up for, audit history, rule sets or truth tables, and we can build the reports off of those. But we're wondering if there's a way to feed in a piece of information from the request process to link those specific lines on the report to an authorization, which is the authorization is given by our system, and then API called a decision. So right now we can see all the information that's coming in and all the decisions that are made. We just can't necessarily, unless we know the exact time, link those to a specific case or specific authorization.
Okay, and are you using like rule audit history today to see this? Like, what's the manner in which you're storing this information off?
So we're using rule audit history. So in the flow, trying to get in here, you click on the truth table or the or whatever in the flow. Let me see the names exactly of those checkboxes. They're checkboxes. So basically I have a flow. I've got a rule set.
Yep.
Click on the rule set, and under audit, capture audit history and capture phrase audit history. So it shows us where the certain requests have gone through the particular rule set and which rules have triggered and which haven't. But we just don't have a way, or don't know yet, a way to link that back to a case.
Let's see here. Let me get a flow up, and you tell me if I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at here. Set. And so you're using capture audit history, capture phrase audit history here?
Yes.
Okay, there's some options here. Let's see what we get specific to rule sets. Let me create a rule set here.
Or even if there's a way to create a report based on the output each time a flow is triggered, that would work too, but I haven't found that yet.
Yeah, let's look and see what we have in the settings for a rule set. Setup rule set. There's some stuff at the bottom here. Result data storage. Header with all. This can get pretty verbose. We've had some customers get quite, there's no cleanup procedure here, but result data storage, I think, lets you see every input and output that gets called into a database table somewhere. Let me see. Let's just see what we can get here. Let me save. Let me add that. Let me add a single rule here. Set up some input data. Just a moment. String here. Okay. And let's go edit our rule. str1 equals hello world. And then we will build a flow to call that. So let's find our rule set here, which is rule set 1. Rule set run. Is this a template with instance? 1 second here. Rule set 1. Set up rule set. It's a logical instance. Okay. I do constant. Does it give me a picker? No, it doesn't. So we'll just do rule set. String 1 would be hello world. And the name is rule set 1, capitals, that may matter. All right, if I run this, does it fail or does it pass? Okay, that passes. So I think we have, let's do a report here. And set result data, entity name, rule set 1, rule set. Is there a result? Rule set result data. Is this stuff at? Rule set result details, just like that. Start data, break data, rule set ID. So that's rule set result data. Is that what we're looking for? Not showing. And here, rule set result data. Any description. Set result details. That's not showing up like I would expect. Our data, that's rule set result data. Sorry, I'm just struggling to figure out what the right data source to use here is. Let me create a, let's see if I can fetch that in a flow. Flow set run result. That might be the name of it. Not detail, no results. No, it doesn't like that. Right. You can see data here. ID, is that the ID? Sorry, I'm fumbling a bit here, I apologize. We do save this data off. Come back here. Rule set 1. Let's look at ID. Is this the ID? B4, 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 B4. Okay, so do we not make the result data available to you for some reason? Maybe that's a break text.
I can usually see it. I can see it in the phrase. I think the phrase audit history or phrase audit plain text is how I pull it in mine. But
But yeah, this is like a different way. I thought it would tell us what was the input data here. Because you realistically, you're passing in this authorization ID. It comes in as an input to the rule or not?
So we could have it come in as input and just not technically make a decision off of that. So we could just pass that piece of information in if we could report on it and just link, just like for linking purposes, I guess. So say I put in a request for services, I fail a certain rule. I just want to link that particular outcome to the authorization number that I fed in the GTO.
Yeah, I think we don't have a way to have you custom add like custom properties, if you will, to any of these audit things. There's not like a, configure custom key or something. At least not today. That could be something we could look at doing in the future as a feature request. You could create a separate database table and save these off. I don't know how you would link that to the rule audit history. You could, I think, because the rule audit history today shows you the inputs, right? It gives you the inputs that were passed in. So passing that off ID thing you're referring to into the inputs might be the simplest way to get it in there, even if you don't use it for anything.
I think it does. Now I'm questioning myself. So it shows right now I have execution date and time, rule name, rule data plain text. So it basically shows the outcome of each request, but not the input. I'm sorry. It shows the outcome.
It doesn't show you. It doesn't show you the input data.
Unless I just have found it.
We'll phrase text, phrase result. The history. Let's see here.
Audit ID, audit name, entity folder ID, execution date time, ID, parent audit ID, result data plain text, rule ID, rule name, rule plain text, and rule text are the data fields it gives me.
That stinks. I'm not sure we can do this at all right now. Might be able to do some. I wonder if we might be able to extend this with the SDK. I'm thinking this is probably going to be some kind of SDK or some future feature requests thing. Forgive me, I'm not super familiar with rule phrase. I guess now's the time to learn. Text here, and we'll capture audit, capture phrase. So we'll put the current folder. Audit ID. I think we can just put anything we want there, right? Rule audit name. If I run this, false. Okay, now, and if I look, does it give me, probably doesn't put it in the portal, but if let me go to my report, this, and search for it, rule audit history. Okay, this is what you have today, right?
Right.
Okay, audit name, audit ID. So, okay, this, but it's only showing me, so I see it here in rule. I do see the input here in this field. Rule plain text. Let me wrap this. Rule plain text, not that it's easy to read, but that's only if I include it, right? Like in the actual rule. But here's the actual.
If authorization number exists or equals, I don't know.
You have to do that in every rule, right?
Do that in every rule.
That doesn't seem ideal at all. Let me create another one of phrase and just see if there's anything additional in phrase we get. This doesn't give us everything. So if you look at our flow, what if you, I mean, you can specify what you want for these things, right? The rule audit ID and the audit name. Could you use auth code for one of those?
So I think the audit name, I might could for the rule audit ID. I'll try that. I haven't tried.
Because if I look at this, I bet rule name, statement rule 1, we give you the actual rule name and we give you the rule ID already. And you can specify what you want for audit name and audit ID. So
audit ID,
you know,
maybe.
you could use, you could just use one of those as your auth code. So if you wanted to pull all rules for a particular auth code, you'd still have to pass it in, of course, right?
Right.
But you wouldn't write a rule to check it. You would just pass that into one of those two properties.
Audit ID.
And then that might give you what you want here. Because then you could look at all, you know, look for every, you could, this would allow you to say, all right, every statement rule 1 for audit ID X, what are the results? And then the rule plain text would tell you, you could look in the rule text, rule plain text, and then result data to see. That's probably going to be, you still have to pass it in, but that's probably the best best way to do that.
I think that'll work right now. Audit ID on my report. I just added it as a data field. It's just blank, so I can select that. Okay, cool. Thank you.
You bet. I'm glad we took that trip because I wasn't thinking about that right at first. So yeah, thank you for the question. Okay. What is the best way to see if/when? I'll let you talk here, Mr. Humphrey. What's the best way to see if/where in decisions a column from a table integration is referenced? Is this this is a mapping question? Ugh. Like
it's more of an audit question. So we just, it's sort of a, like we're looking for dependencies basically. So we can see where the table's referenced by the normal dependencies, but in situations where a table is referenced in like several dozen places, I was looking to see if I could shortcut that. I'm just interested in one column.
So we can pull out and look at mappings, but the mapping is based on the output name. So it presumes that we haven't like you could, I think we've even given, have we given you the constant mapping data source before, Jeff?
Yeah.
So we could enhance that, or we could look at creating one of those. And I think we have actually done that, includes all select value mappings. I think we enhanced that for someone recently. Caitlin, this is something that I'd love for your help following up with Jason about, please. I think we did that. The difficulty here is the mapping is just the literal mapping. It's not, it doesn't know what the mapping doesn't know what it's being mapped from. So assuming you've never renamed your, you know, your thing, or maybe actually, you know, the table name, right?
Yeah.
Or the column name, right? So like, you know, exclusions code source or something, right? So if we gave you, I think we have this in hand, it's just not in the product. If we gave you this other data source, which was all select value mappings, that means that you could query that, you could filter that report based on that column name, and then probably see everywhere where it's used at. I don't think it's in the product, Jeff, but I think we have a data source already that we could give to you.
I see what you're saying, because even if you pull back a record from that table and you have it in a variable, the variable name might be different, but the column name won't change.
Yeah, you can't change the column name in mapping, but you can change the variable name, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that's about as best as we would be able to do. But Caitlin, can you talk to Jason about that? And if there's any confusion, just start a group Slack with me and I'll clarify. But I believe we wrote an updated data mapping sort of audit data source, and that allows you to see select value mappings. And if not, that's something that we can get done pretty easily, I think. But likely what we're talking about, and you might want to punt this to Neil, but I think we can get you that data source for that, Jeff.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, Will
Yeah, you bet, man.
and Caitlin.
Absolutely.
All right, so Jeremy, I asked this last week and Eric said he would follow up with an answer, but I have not heard anything yet. Is there a way to get last month's start and end date in a flow that will take into account that February gains a day every 4 years? How do you do this in .NET? Does anyone know? Let me let you talk. If you can do it in .NET, we could probably just do that. How is there already a last month start and end date in a flow that will take into account the February gains a day every 4 years?
Yeah, Eric thought that there was something somewhere because it gets done on like scheduled jobs and different things that like say what is the last day of the month to run, but he didn't know where it was located to utilize that as a step in the flow.
Yeah.
Golly. Let's look at what we have under data dates. Get difference in days, get difference in months. System, get time of day, get time without day, get week of year. Greater than is same day, parse date. Time. Add years, add time span. Do business time. Get difference in months, get difference in days. Let's just see something really quick. Get difference in days. When is, do we know a leap? So in a leap year, there's 366 days in a year, right? I'm gonna expose all of my lack of date understanding knowledge here. You guys are gonna find them.
Yes,
find
that
me
would
out.
be
I'm a fool.
correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna do. Let's just see. New constant date here is 01/01/2021. That needs to be 12/31. 12. I'm just gonna see if these steps are aware at all as a test here. And 01/01/2021. So if I do that, I should get 365, assuming it's inclusive, right? So 364. It wouldn't last leap year.
2020 was the last leap year.
So this should be 365, possibly. Okay. So get difference in days. So you're trying to actually just figure out for a given month the start day and the end day?
Yeah,
Like
as I'm
for-
feeding those dates into other steps, mainly SQL, to utilize, like I need something like I need to know what happened last month, but I need to, a way to just have decisions tell me at least what is last month's last day. Since taking into account that February changes, like that's a little more complicated than I thought, just to like have like a truth table to spit that out, since that does change. I don't know if there was some other inbuilt way that just would be aware and can give me that quickly.
I think we have the right step, the right like date stuff. Let's see, .NET get first and last day of month using blah blah blah. First last day of current month. Days in month equals new date time date year. Date time dot days in month. Don't expose that. Is that available in our .NET methods though? .NET. Earn Microsoft system. It's in system. Dot dates. Anyone know where? Data, dates, maybe. Date time. Anyone happen to on the call know where in system libraries I can look up the methods for date times? Datetime system dot runtime. System runtime. Stay. Yeah. Non. I love whoever the person is keeps joining anonymously. I know it's the same person over and over again. Name yourself. Overflow exception. Interesting. We can find it if I knew how to, if I knew where to look for it. Like there's a, date, last day of month, days in month equals new daytime date here, 1. So there is a, how do we just find the date time property? Or I think if you can find it in here, if you could find the date time method in the internal service in the .NET libraries here, Jeremy, I think you can get what you're after. I'm struggling to figure out where. I'm like on Microsoft Docs right now, trying to figure out how to drill into it.
Yeah, I just tried to open that and I got a error.
We could yeah, we could help. I'm sure we can fix that and support.
It could not load file or assembly.
Let me ask a question to somebody really quick. System, but I don't see. So whatever answer I give you, assuming we'll have to also fix the issue you're having opening up your it's in system runtime. Where? I didn't see it. System runtime. System runtime what? Someone's grabbing it for me. Just a minute. Well, I'm looking for this. Let me know if anyone else has any questions. We don't have any other questions queued up at the moment. Right. I think it's not going to. You're gonna have to do this in a subflow, Jeremy, but we can do this. Sorry. So it's gonna do. This is effectively what your subflow would look like. It'd be like first day of current month or something. It's a terrible name, but here's a date time. I'm gonna create a date subflow. I'm gonna clear this date time. And then I'm going to use the add month step. And the months I'm gonna add is 1. And the source date is gonna be the first day of current month step. And I'm gonna use the add days step. And on add days, I'm gonna add -1 days to the output of my add months output. Should be, and then I'm gonna output, last day of month as a integer. And last day of month will be select from flow, add days, day, I think. So let's see here. If I put in like a 02/01/2021, that I should get 28, right? And if I create a new one, new test 2, and I make this date 02/01/2020, I should get 29. So that's what you'll need to do right now. We don't give you access to that constructor in .NET libraries. And yeah, so this is the subflow you need to do to get that.
Okay, can you show me each of those steps again so I can duplicate that really fast?
Yeah, sure. I created an input, just a date time input, which is going to be the effect is going to be the month, the month I care about, right? Like, so this is February. And so I can always assume that the start date of a month is 1 because that doesn't change at all, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to add a month to that day. So this is using all the .NET date time stuff. So it's respecting leap year changes, right? I'm going to add a month to that, and that comes out as add months output. And then I'm going to pass that into a add days with -1. So basically, I give it February 1st. I add a month, so now I'm March 1st. I subtract a day, so I'm now on the last day of February, right? In this example,
Okay.
and then I map out the add days output .day, which is what's the current date, what's the day of the month, and that will always give you the last day of the month and will respect leap years.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Makes sense. Yep. I think that should do what I need. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm not good at time. I'm not good at date math at all.
That's all right.
Okay. Anything else for anybody?
I don't see Jess still on the call, but I do have Jason taking stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. Okay. All right. I think that's everything then. Thanks, everybody. And who do you have tomorrow and Wednesday? You feeling?
Let me pull it up. Tomorrow is Ashley Fire, and then Thursday is Garrett.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks.